Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gotham Sports Machine. I'm your host, Jack Healy, joined by my co-host, Mark Healy. We are back to talk about some football. It's right around the corner, only a few weeks away, and I can't wait. How are you feeling today, Mark?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I can't wait for football either. And obviously, with baseball season not going the way we wanted it to, Yankee fans are certainly a little bit more paying attention to their team. But with the Jets and Giants, even though expectations, I think, for both are different, I still think that Jets and Giants fans are looking forward to week one. And obviously, there's a lot to talk about, right?
Yeah, I mean, both teams had pretty good off seasons. A lot to talk about just in that perspective. But when you think about what we're looking forward to in this season, I mean, we've already gotten a little glimpse in the first week of the preseason. I mean, it's the preseason, so you can't really get too excited over anything, but you like to see football. And I think one of the biggest, I mean, you already saw Dart get smacked around a little bit. And it's like the biggest concern with this right now is how much do you want to play these guys, even though they need to play and they need to get gelled and you gotta build chemistry. If anyone gets hurt in these games, it's like a travesty. So, I mean, where do you find that like medium?
Well, that's exactly what it is. How do you find it? I mean, because we've seen with a lot of teams, whether they have a new offensive coordinator like the Jets do, when you have a new coaching staff like the Giants do, you have that situation where you with these new players and these new schemes, and yes, a lot of it is other guys on the outside looking in, trying to see who's going to get a job on the roster. But by the same token, it's hard to figure it out in week one, and that's why the preseason, adding the extra game and all this other stuff is so much more of a factor when you think about how people, especially people who grew up with the fantasy football and people who grew up with this NFL next gen stats. It's really hard to kind of, unless you're the elite teams, it's really hard to kind of prognosticate about what your team is going to do. And I think that's what the hard thing for a lot of these teams, and I think for the Jets and the Giants too, is how much of the preseason, how much does it play into how the team is going to perform during the regular season?
I mean, you can't simulate game reps no matter what, no matter how good your practices are, no matter how good your scout team is, you can't simulate game situations.
Right.
And even a preseason, even like getting those snaps in and that work in, it's as close as you can get, but it's still not it's not the regular season. It's not like you're not going up against every single starter and their like scheme that they would go with in a regular season game. Like it's just like it's very difficult to really get a look. And
Sure. Right.
especially with all the newness in most of these offense. All this, there's always so much change with the coordinators, the staff, the quarterback. Most offenses are built around the quarterback, some aren't. Some of these quarterbacks can actually run the offense they're in, some can't. I mean, you see these like Geno, he looked good in the Seattle offense, and he had three straight winning seasons in Seattle and put up good, pretty decent numbers. And then he goes to the Raiders. I mean, it was kind of just not really, it was kind of shit show in general. Like they had no offensive line. Pete Carroll like was at the end of his, I mean, he's still a good coach, but like you kind of threw him into a situation. It was like a lose-lose. They were never going to be good.
Right.
And putting Gino behind that team and into that, like he was never like this Jet situation isn't much better, but if you can protect him and at least give him a little more of that like run heavy offense, play action that he had in Seattle, maybe he can get that winning back. Maybe not winning, but like at least consistent, solid, not throwing league league leading interceptions, Geno Smith. He had like
Right, right.
17 last year.
Look, he's going to throw picks. He's just one of those quarterbacks that, he just does. That's part of what he brings to the table. But, when he's healthy, he can throw the ball down the field. He's got some weapons with the Jets, like you talked about with the play action. If they can establish Breece Hall, that front line. I mean, I don't know how good it is, the Jets offensive line, but they played together a lot last year. And, when you have a new offensive coordinator with Frank Reich, who knows what he's doing, I mean, he may not have been a great head coach, but certainly is a guy that knows how to run an offense. And, if they can establish that play action, they get the tight end involved, whether it's the kid or Jones. You have a great target in Garrett Wilson. They have some stuff to work with on that offense. And again, it all comes down. I'm like the old man in the sea. I talk about it on every podcast. I talk about it with you. I talk about it with my friends. Other people when I'm writing about or talking about football. To me, it all comes down to the offensive line. If that offensive line can protect Geno, then they have a shot at least on offense of being in games. And I think that that's all you can ask for, because Aaron Glenn has not shown me. I mean, I loved him when he was a player. He did a good job as defensive coordinator in Detroit, but I have no idea whether or not this guy's a good head coach. I know he says dumb things, but that doesn't, define him as a coach. I guess we're going to find out this year with a new offensive coordinator whether or not Aaron Glenn, can just allow his offensive coordinator to kind of run the offense, and maybe he can be more of a presence on the defensive side of the ball.
A big thing too with like as good as the offensive line like has to be, it's also on the quarterback. You need to know how to protect yourself. You need to know how to read the like as good as your offensive line can be, if you're not putting them in the right places and you're not reading the defenses and you're not like picking up what the
Sure.
defensive coordinator's coming at you with, it does not matter. If you're like, oh yeah, everybody like block this guy, block this guy, block this guy, and you're leaving the corner or the edge rusher unblocked every single time. Like some of these quarterbacks are just idiots. And like Geno Smith has proven time and time again, like he can be smart at times, but he's also had generational mishaps when it
Yep.
comes to pick sixes and just like blank outs. And
Well,
Jackson Dart, like he needs to the big like Aaron Glenn, we don't know how good a head coach he is. Jackson Dart just got a big get in John Harbaugh because John Harbaugh has played, like, has seen this game and has been around this game for a while, and he can help Dart to protect himself, and we need to see that.
no, I don't think there's any question about that. When you're talking about Harbaugh and what he brings to the table, not just from a resume standpoint, but the fact that he's had so much success working with an offense and a team in Baltimore that people are going to listen. The team's going to listen. He's changed the culture already. I mean, and that doesn't mean he's going to be perfect. That doesn't mean that the Giants. I think there's a lot of people that are thinking the Giants are a playoff team. I don't see it. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, I guess they have a shot at doing something in the NFC, especially the NFC East. But it's not going to be Harbaugh. If Jackson Dart can't stay healthy, if Scadaboo can't regain what he had before the injury, if Neighbors can be healthy for week one and go back to the player he was before he got hurt. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on with the Giants that have some upside, right? But again, how good is that offensive line going to be? How good is the new offense going to be? It's there's a lot of questions, but if you're asking me, who do I think is going to be more fun to watch? I think it's going to be the Giants. I'm sorry, Jet fans, but you talked about Geno. How tight is the leash on Geno? Like, is Geno gonna like be allowed to kind of start, 4, 5, 6, 7 games if he's not being successful? Will they pull the trigger and put Klubnik in there? I mean, what do you think? Do you think Klubnik can play at the NFL level? Is he going to be an improvement over Geno Smith? I mean, how do you think that's going to play out, Jack?
I mean, I think at this point, like it can't hurt. Like this Jets team is not going anywhere.
Right,
And like if they won 7, 8 games, it's almost like why?
right,
Like it'd be
right.
cool to see like I guess like the young guys like rally and have a good season, but this team is in a position to they're like almost a quarterback away. Maybe Klubnik's at quarterback. So like maybe you do give him a shot sooner rather than later. Because you know Geno Smith is not that quarterback. He's never
No,
won a playoff game. He's
he's not.
had
He's not.
he's had good seasons and he's shown he can be a good spot starter. But he's also shown he can go out and get you the number 1 pick, which he did for the Raiders last year. So if he does that for you and you win 2, 3 games and you're looking at the top pick in the draft, you can't argue with that.
No, you
So
can't. I mean, it
getting a
may not
good
save Aaron Glenn's job, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think, look, we talked about this, you and I, and we've talked about it on other shows. The Jets GM, Moogie, has done, I think, a great job of creating cap space, of drafting some of these players, of creating a infrastructure there with the Jets that has, when you look at the long game and you look at, if you project it out, year 2, year 3, year 4, the fact of the matter is people look at stats, right? Geno Smith hasn't been good for like 3 years. Like 5 years ago, he, really, he was a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. Those days are long gone. What you're asking him to do is to not throw 2 or 3 picks a game. You're asking him to stay upright and to, put them in a position to be in games. That's all you can ask. But if he's as bad as he was last year, you have to pull the trigger and let Klubnik play. You have to. You have to let him play.
yeah. And I mean, you don't have like I mean Brees Hall is a great running back.
Yes, I agree. I like him a lot. There's Jet fans that don't love him, which makes no sense to me.
Crazy.
Yeah,
But
he's
like outside of him, I mean Garrett Wilson, another really good player, but hasn't been consistent enough that like a lot of like just question marks and inconsistencies and young guys that just haven't really proven anything, but could be like that offense could be exciting. You don't know how Sadiq is gonna look. You don't know how like Omar Cooper, like these guys could break out. They got
right.
taken early. They were early first round. Like you don't know who is gonna break out on these teams, whether it be the Giants or the Jets. But the way the league is shaped right now, there are some really talented teams. There's
Hmm.
no like team that you're like, oh, they're winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's definitely wide open, so you can't go out and count out a team like the Giants right away, no matter what, because they have a quarterback they like, they have a coach they like, and the defense is going to be better. I mean, I don't know
Yeah, I agree.
how good it's going to be. They've had really good defenses in the past in New York, and that's always like as good as the offense could be and has the potential to be. You need a really good defense in this league, especially if you want to win
Yep.
the Super Bowl. If you look at the past 4 or 5 winners, they've had great quarterbacks, but the defenses have always been really good. Seattle basically won based all on defense last year. Like Darnold had his moments in the playoffs, but rarely had to be great. That defense was just shutting teams down left and right. So,
Well, look, when you look at like let's look at like one of the things that people do way too often, especially, content creators that have podcasts. Jack and I are obviously Jack's wearing his Falcons jersey, so Jack and I are not Jets or Giants fans. So we look at the Jets and the Giants very objectively. And I always say, there's too many, they only focus on their team and they don't focus on the other teams as to, your ability to compete in a division, you're playing your division, your division opponents two times. So if you don't play well against your division, you're not going to do well, overall. You might win some out of conference games. You might win, divisional, conference games. But, the look at the NFC East, right? The Eagles are going to be better. They're not going to be worse, and they're certainly not going to be bad, right? The Cowboys are probably, I hate to say it, but the Cowboys are probably going to be better than they were a year ago. The Commanders are probably going to be better than they were a year ago. So that's what you have to factor in: what the Giants' record can be, what kind of impact they can make, what kind of run they could be on. Like when you're looking at a division, now some people like to call it the NFC least, but those teams are not bad teams. And two of the teams, the Commanders and the Cowboys, I don't know if you agree with this, but I think they're going to be better than they were a year ago.
Yeah, and honestly, I just don't think any of those teams has proven that they're better than the Eagles. And the Eagles have kind
Not
of had
yet.
their way with that
Right.
division the past few years. It hurts. I mean, everyone loves to piss on him, but and year in and year out, it seems like he's just dominated that division. So,
He finds a way to win. I don't like him either, but he finds a way to win. Now, losing AJ Brown, it's going to be interesting to see how that affects, their offense.
but honestly,
But
I don't think it affects it much because Devontae Smith was having a great year, and there was so much just going on with the drama and the nonsense, and
right.
like they drafted a receiver in the first round who's good, Mekhi Lemon. I see them taking a step back almost and just playing a little bit more team ball. And when you look at their skill positions, I mean, they're loaded.
Yep. Right. Well, so that's again, how many games are the Giants going to win?
Yeah.
When they're playing better opponents. And again, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if the Commanders are going to be better. But I think they're going to be better. I mean, just the fact that Jaden Daniels is healthy, I mean, they're going to be better, right? And certainly the Cowboys, they're going to be better. I hate to say it, I really do, but I mean, don't you think the Cowboys are going to be like better than
I
than
think all of the offenses look like they improved, but the defenses, it's really going to be who has the best defense that wins
right?
that division. And I think the
Sure.
Eagles have the best defense. And then right behind them, I don't know. And the Cowboys have really like their defense was terrible last year. It was really not good. They added Quinn Williams at the end, or it was like towards the deadline or whatever. They got him for the Jets. Gave up a lot to get him, and he was good. He looked like he shored up some of that run defense. But I don't know. I don't know how much faith I have in Dallas or that Washington. Washington's old.
Yep.
And the Giants, like, they kind of have a mix of both. Like, they have some young guys. They brought in
Mhm.
some vets. Harbaugh's a defensive guy, and he was competing in the NFC North. That was a bloodbath every year. So,
Look, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, watching all these other teams. I mean, the Falcons certainly have room for improvement. They've done some good things. They've done some questionable things. Uh, hopefully they start Michael Penix and his Tua experiment goes away because he's looked awful. Just to digress for a moment.
I mean, if in what in the 7 snaps he played,
I'm just telling you, I don't have any confidence in that guy. I know you like him, but I don't have any confidence in him.
he didn't even do anything. He looked awful in what?
He's been throwing a lot of picks in practice. I'm just saying.
Yeah, practice. Yeah,
What are we talking
that really matters.
about?
I want Penix to start too, but I mean,
Well, you're a Tua guy. You like Tua, so you're a little biased. Just admit it. And I'm biased too because I don't.
I just said I wanted Penix to start.
I know,
I've
but
always wanted Penix to start.
you like
I still,
Tua.
I mean, Tua's been a good quarterback in the NFL. To act like he hasn't,
I'm not saying that.
He led the league
I'm,
in completion percentage
I'm not
2 or 3
saying
times.
that.
He led the
I
league in
just
passing
don't.
yards like 3 years ago.
I just don't have. When a guy like Tua comes to the Falcons, a team that everything, if anything can go wrong, it goes wrong. Like Tua is like the perfect player to like go there and just be a disaster. But I'm just saying. I digress. So let's talk about the Jets. Um, who do you now? You mentioned Sadiq. I mentioned him too, but I just said the kid. Now is he still hurt? Is he going to be ready for Week 1? Have you seen anything on that?
I have no clue. I haven't really. I
I mean, the
mean,
last I saw is that
all that
his
stuff, you
injury
can't
wasn't a big
trust
deal.
any of it. You cannot trust any of it until right before the game.
Right.
I mean,
So I think he.
I drafted Christian McCaffrey, and he was healthy, and he was healthy, and he was healthy until
Right.
like 8 hours before week one. Kyle Shanahan decides, oh yeah, his ankle's actually barbecue chicken, and he needs surgery, and he's gonna be out for like 8 weeks.
Oof. That
So,
was rough. And you still won the league, buddy.
oh, that was a different league, but
Don't you have him in the other league too? Don't you have him in our league?
no, I would not. I know I will never draft him again after
Oh,
that.
oof. Well, he won. Jack won our league,
Yeah,
which
because
is
I
the
drafted
only league that matters.
Bijan.
That's the only league I'm in. Um, so when we're talking about the Jets, right? Now here's the thing about. I mean, look, I feel for Jet fans. I really do. We have a lot in common with Falcon fans and Jet fans, because of the losing and so many years of not making the playoffs and disaster after disaster. Um, but the Jets are they kind of the guys that the folks that cover the Jets, they seem to really kind of they're not very calm, cool, and collected. There's a lot of people that cover the Jets that like feed into the misery, right? Um, I feel like this year, as you said, I
Fucking
off team, but I do think that this year is so important for the Jets as they develop, as I said before, their infrastructure. You can't worry about how many games you win, right? I mean, isn't that like really so important for the Jets this year is to just continue developing this roster and making the most of their cap space and their draft capital. And really, this is a year where, to me, the only thing you should be looking at is the team getting better in the schemes that they play?
yeah. I mean, it's almost gonna be it's just an interview year for everyone, including Aaron Glenn. Still, like now he has a more of a like a competent roster. We're gonna see like how he deals with games. They should be in more games. They should like if he can't handle like it seemed like situationally he was a little lost last year, and if he is like that again this year, you gotta cut him loose. You can't
Oh, I agree.
dance around and just like keep trying. It's almost like they're trying to experiment every year with something, and they just gotta stop doing that. They gotta stop trying to be the team that's different. And it started with Gase, the offensive guru. It's
Oh,
just like they haven't found any since Rex Ryan was like the last head coach that had like some kind of stability and actually ran like a competent program. I mean, they got to the AFC title game twice.
with Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean, like it's crazy to think how long ago that's been and how like bad they've been since then. You just you can't keep going with this dysfunction. I mean, the,
No, it's not good. And a lot of people point to ownership, and I'm sure ownership has played a role in the Jets' struggles. But at the end of the day, it's about the GM and the coach and their working relationship and their ability to produce results, and they have not been able to do that. I mean, when is the last time they had a winning season? Was that Todd Bowles' first year? Is that the last time they had a winning season? I think it's the last time they had a winning season was Todd Bowles when he was that's his first when he had his first year as the coach. I don't think they have had a winning season since.
And it's been quite some time.
Yep.
But
It's and that's the thing. Like like you want to look forward to the season. You're a Jets fan. You want to see. Maybe don't worry about the one loss record. Maybe worry about like focusing on players and focusing on what's happening on the field because the Jet fans will psych themselves out after like the first half of week one. You know,
yeah,
whereas Giant fans, I think in a kind of a silly way have much higher expectations for the Giants, and they're not being very reasonable either with some of their projections.
yes, I know. I mean, if you have a good football team, you're always gonna want to win. Like, you're not gonna just be like, oh, I want to like. I mean, like, if you have a good enough team, you have a quarterback you like, got a coach that's competent, like, you always want to aim for the Super Bowl. Like, you don't want
Of course, but
to. I'm not gonna
but
blame the
but
Giant fans for doing that.
wanting to win and actually having a team that is projected to win
Yeah, but
make
who
the
cares?
playoffs
Who
are two
cares?
different things.
Who cares? Projections are nonsense. Projections are like it could be it's all based off of last year, but who cares about last year? It's a whole new year.
You're right.
Players are gonna get injured. There's different
Yep.
coaches. Everything is different. Like nobody thought Seattle was gonna win the Super Bowl last year. Nobody thought the Patriots were gonna even be in the playoffs, much less the Super Bowl. So like as much as people can project whoever they want this year, like the Rams, everybody loves the Rams, and I think the Rams go to the Super Bowl. But Stafford goes down, not doing anything. Ty Simpson, I mean, he's a solid prospect, but they're not the same team, even close to the same team. So for me to like to go into the this year and just count, like I already said before, to count anybody out at any point. Yeah, like the Jets have probably less than 1% chance to make the playoffs or even like win a playoff game, but who knows?
So what do you think about Matt Nagy as the Giants offensive coordinator? Obviously, he was hired by, I don't think he was Harbaugh's first choice, but he's the guy that they hired. Do you think that I mean, obviously he's had really good success as a coordinator, not so much success as a coach. Uh, do you think Nagy is going to be good for the Giants? Do you think that that's going to be good for Jackson Dart and that offense?
Yeah, and they also brought in Najee Harris a couple of days ago, and I think that could be a really good signing because their backfield is like very questionable outside Scadaboo. I mean, Tyrone Tracy got Dart obliterated the other day in that preseason game because he smoked the block. And, like Tracy's a good back, but Najee gives even Scadaboo like neither of them give like neither of them are as big as Najee. Najee's like 6'1", 230. He's a
Yeah,
big dude.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for not only in like just like running up the middle and goal line, he's good in pass protection, protecting Dart. And he was a really good running back before he tore his Achilles. And tearing your Achilles is no that's gonna be very tough to come back from. That's no easy injury to come back from. Most guys don't ever really come back the same from it.
Right.
So I mean it's a good prove it deal. They didn't really give him much money. And I like him. He had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons before he got hurt last year. So it's not like he's not a proven running back. So I like the Nagy. I think Nagy's he was in Kansas City. He knows how to run like these multiple back
Mhm.
offenses. So I think
Mhm.
all of them are going to be used. I like it. I mean, he's been under Andy Reid, one of the best offensive minds in football history
Yep.
past
Yep.
few years. So that can't hurt. And who is he gonna? I don't know if he's gonna be calling the plays or not because I doubt. I mean, Harbaugh's been always been more of a defensive guy, so I'm figuring Harbaugh's gonna be more honed in on the defense a little bit. Maybe
Well, I
leave.
think that's why you hire a guy like that who comes from such a successful offensive, scheme team like the Chiefs. You hire a guy like that because you want him to run the offense.
Yeah.
You want him to, be the guy that's responsible for molding those players. And, and the one thing that, to me, I always look when a young quarterback, is playing behind a maybe okay offensive line. He's going to have targets, right? If Neighbors is healthy, he's going to have a running back, Scatterbo. He's going to have, hopefully, as you said, Harris. That tight end is so important to a young quarterback. Having that guy that you can, throw to when you're in trouble, and getting Isaiah Likely from the Ravens, I think is a really maybe one of the most underrated moves for the Giants this offseason. It hasn't really been talked about a lot. What do you think of him being the new tight end for the Giants, and is that going to really help them?
Yeah, I mean, Harbaugh loves Likely. He was getting him a lot of looks and a lot of time the past few years. Started giving him more looks than Mark Andrews last year.
Right.
So there's no question he's going to use him this year, and he's going to be a big part of the offense. Quite like if he can become that true tight end one, I mean, who knows his ceiling? They have other guys that they like, but I think it's clear that likely he's going to be the one. So, I mean, do I think he could be one of the top tight ends in the league? I don't know, but he's projected to put up those kinds of numbers this year.
Right.
He's going to get the looks to do it. Why not? I mean, they really haven't had a really good tight end in quite some time.
Yep.
The last hyped up tight end they probably had was Evan Ingram, and
Oh,
he went from having a great like kind of rookie like start to just falling off a cliff. And he really he's had like spurts of being decent here and there, but he never really became anything. And good tight ends are hard
they're
to
hard to
find.
find. Yeah,
Yeah.
they really are. They really are. And when you get one, it really it's such a game changer. Like you look at some of the great teams over the years, they've had great tight ends. Kelsey, is certainly one that comes to mind. And at least in my experience, certain guys that I think of when I think of great tight ends, Mark Bavaro for the Giants was fantastic. And if that guy could have ever stayed healthy, he'd be in the conversation as one of the best tight ends ever because he was unbelievable. He was a great blocker. He was tough. He was a great pass catcher. He knew how to score touchdowns. Alonzo Gates was fantastic. Certain guys like that, they really help you change, the way an offense plays. And that's why, it's so important to have especially for a young quarterback like Dart. And look, you want a guy who's mobile, you want a guy like that to use his legs, but you also don't want him to get, crushed and be out with concussions every week, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see. I think for the Jets, you're looking at how are they going to get ready for, 2027, 2027, 28. With the Giants, it's like, hey, maybe we have a shot at this thing. And I'd rather, honestly, be a fan of a team that has that opportunity. That's what I look at. The Giants have a season of opportunity ahead of them, and the Jets have another season of getting ready to embrace the opportunity.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you.
Oh, I am. I am.
This has been another great episode of the Gotham Sports Machine. It's good to be back, and we will see you guys soon. Follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you want to get your podcast, get your sports. We will be there. Take care. We'll see you.
Take it easy, buddy.